Good morning.
Good
It's
morning.
on. Okay. But you can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Jambo.
Hatujambo.
Karibuni sana.
Asante.
We're here today not to have a very serious formal meeting. It's just to inform each other about what government is doing and to inform the public as well. So here we have people from the government of Kenya from this side, where we are. And then there is you here in this room. And then there's the rest of Kenya and the world outside this room. What we want to do is to inform each other. Those of us who are in government inform citizens what it is we are doing, what government is doing, what initiatives there are, what probably exists which you don't know about, and then also gives you an opportunity to have a two-way conversation where we discuss what can be improved, what exists, what can be done better, and also what are the missing services which are there. We are all aware that this Kenya Kwanza government under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda has placed the creative economy and IT very, very high. It's one of the 5 pillars. And we know from the demographic pyramid in this country that a good percent, 75, 80% of all Kenyans today are below the age of 35. 80% below the age of 35. Which means going forward, we must talk to these people and we must talk to this demographic. And that's what we're doing here today. We're trying to bridge the gap, the information gap between the citizenry and the government. We want to also have, from government side, we want to get feedback from the citizens. What's working, what's not working, what else do we need to do, what new things could we do? So that's why we're here. Have a conversation. This government is open. We're here to serve you as citizens. We have very fortunate to have representatives from government agencies concerned on this matter. So please feel at home. This is your space. Talk freely, speak freely. Government is yours. We are government. Everybody is government. Everybody is government. That's what we forget. Serikali si wale watu. Serikali ni wewe na mi, ni wewe na mimi. So let's improve our own country because we're the ones who live in this country. So let's make it better, okay? So with those very few remarks, please feel at home and let's leave today with something new. Either we have got new information, we have imparted new information, or we have come up with a new idea, all right? That's what I'd like to come out of this session. So with those very few remarks, mine is to welcome you to Kenya Vision 2030, Delivery Secretariat, and let's have a nice conversation. Asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, DG, for such a wonderful welcoming remarks. Makofi kwa DG tafadhali. Thank you very much. Now, at this juncture, may I take this opportunity to invite Director Dr. Mutegi, Deputy Director Enablers, to give us session briefing, and then welcome panelists to take on with the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Give a clap to my director for ensuring that the session starts on time. Once again, as my DG has said, this day is a day that we have dedicated to us to discuss together, to share ideas about the topic of the day, e-government, digitalization, and the available opportunities in that space. As you all know, government has undertaken a lot of reforms, a lot of initiatives in the ICT sector, in the in-government sector, and related services. Remember, Kenya has pioneered the use of M-Pesa. All over the world, people are marveled at how an African country could make M-Pesa or could come up with such a service of M-Pesa because of our technology, because of our uptake in technology. All over the world, especially in Africa and other countries, you will notice that Kenyans are the ones who are leading in terms of ICT penetration and ICT usage. If you go to some of these countries, you will see that it is Kenyans who are driving the ICT sector in those countries. When you look at the government initiatives like the National Fiber Optic Cable, now, all the county headquarters are connected to fiber optic cables, meaning from anywhere we are in the country, we are able to connect and access internet. There's a lot of increase in the use of 4G network, 5G network. Of course, some areas have 3G, but there are a lot of efforts that are being done by the ministry, by the Communication Authority of Kenya, and by the ICTA and other agencies to ensure that internet connectivity is high. There's a report that was produced last year in 2022 that ranked Kenya as #1 in terms of internet accessibility rate. There's an index that was measuring the internet accessibility rate, and it shows that Kenya has made tremendous improvements in terms of internet use and internet uptake. So because of all these things, that's why now government has introduced the issue of in-government services, digitalization, and there are many opportunities that are available today. So because of that brief session, I want us to start our first round of discussions with the panelists who have already come. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Richard Wajoi from the Strathmore University, HiLab. They have been working on a very transformative project at Strathmore University. So a clap for Richard Wajoi as he joins me here, as he joins me on this space, so that we can start the first set of questions. Also join me in welcoming Mr. Joseph Nzano of the Communications Authority of Kenya. Mr. Nzano is a seasoned. In fact, when they were calling from the office, they were saying that he's the guru, he's the master plan of all these ICT that we are seeing around the country. Give him a clap as he comes and joins me here for this session. Welcome, Mr. Joseph Nzano. Not the least here, but also equally in the academia space and also doing a lot of work is Dr. Moses Olengo from Dedan Kimathi University of Science and Technology. Please give him a round of clap as he comes to join me. In fact, Dr. you could go near the DG there. No problem, you could go near there. As he comes, of course, you know, the CUT has done a lot of pioneering innovations, including being given a contract by Boeing to do. Boeing is the biggest plane manufacturer that we know around, to make some microchips for the company. So give my panelists a round of clap, one clap now, to make sure that they are comfortable, even as we begin to discuss the issue of e-government, digitalization, and available opportunities. So now, welcome on board. And of course, the media, the cameras are rolling. Don't worry about that, because you are subject professors in this issue that we're going to discuss. So the first thing that I want my panelists to discuss is, first of all, to introduce your organization. So in 1 minute each, I want to start with Mr. Joseph. Just introduce your organization, what your organization does, then we'll come back. Please, Joseph Nzano.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Yeah, thank you, and thank you for this opportunity of having to come here and to discuss matters digitalization. As it has been mentioned, my organization is called the Communications Authority of Kenya. We are the communications regulators in Kenya. And our main mandate is regulatory. It's just to oversee the operations of the ICT industry. And we provide licenses to various players who are serving within the ICT industry. We also regulate frequencies in terms of radio frequencies, in terms of all type of communication frequencies. We issue the licenses and regulate them and ensure compliance that have been implemented. We also regulate the broadcasting industry, the radios, the TVs which you see, the mobile industry, the telephone industry, that is the mobile network operators. We also have a huge mandate also of ensuring consumer protection, safety for all the ICT users, And that's why we have a fully fledged computer incident response team within our cybersecurity space. And then we also have a regulation in the area of postal. So it's big. Actually, we have roughly about 8 to 9 different mandates when it comes to the regulation in the ICT sector. We are under the Ministry of ICT and Digital, I always forget the other word, but in innovation. And we also have quite a number of other sister agencies, including the ICTA, among other entities. And we are very glad to be here to be able to share this experience. Thank you. Thank you.
To Strathmore University now, Mr. Wajoy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes, so my name is Richard Wanjohi. I'm here on behalf of my director, Dr. Joseph Villa, who's the director of iLab Africa Research and Innovation Center. This is one of the centers or departments that sits within the Strathmore University. We do a couple of, or we focus on a couple of areas. I'll start with the one that Mr. Nzao here has just presented, cybersecurity. We have a cybersecurity section or unit. We also have the e-health unit, very critical to what we are discussing today. We also have the data science unit and also IT consulting services, which has been very instrumental working with the counties and helping them with the revenue collection models. I don't want to take too much time introducing myself. I think the heart of the matter is the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. Let's go to Dr. Orengo. You are introducing your organization.
Thank you so much. First, let me say that I'm happy to be part of this conversation today. My name is Dr. Moses Olengo. I'm from Dedan Kimathi University of Technology. And in that university, I'm the Director of Research, Innovation Management, and Community Linkage. As a university, we have taken a bold step in the area of digitization of our activities. And we have a system or an ecosystem that we have developed over time. By the grace of God, we have been able to create a system for, especially in the semiconductor technologies, of which, as Daktari alluded to, we have been able to reverse the previous notion that Africa is a consumer of chips and therefore a net importer. We have reversed that to at least to a big extent by being an exporter of the same. And we are going to look at some of those enablers that we have put in space in this digital space and the digitization of some of our programs. There are a number of things I hope we are going to delve into with time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Once again, give them a round of clap for those wonderful introductions. And my people, you can see that the panel that we have will be able to give us a lot of insight, as also we share with them. Now, I want us to go to the next round of discussion, and this time round now, we'll be focusing more, Mr. Joseph, on the role your organization is playing in the issue of e-government and the digital transformation. What role do you think your organization, whether it's the university, whether it's the government agency, is playing in this area, in this arena of e-government services and the digital transformation? And again, I start with the government itself, Mr. Joseph, to tell us what the ICTA Communication Authority is doing in this space of e-government and the digital transformation. Welcome again, Mr. Joseph.
Yeah, thank you very much. So now, having known the mandate of the authority, I guess now we can have a rough idea of what we do, isn't it? Yeah. So first of all, so I mentioned that we have the regulatory oversight. So within the digital transformation, we ensure that all the licensees who come to us for the licenses to do the various operations in terms of infrastructure, digital infrastructure for that matter, have adhered to the licenses. We go around and check on them to make sure they are doing what they're supposed to do. So we have the enforcement sections, we have the licensing section, and then we also ensure that the quality, the standards which are required to be offered are also given. All right? So that's one area which we look at. In terms of spectrum management, there, as I said, we provide frequencies. We give frequencies to various entities. So we ensure, first of all, that these frequencies are available throughout the country, even looking at those areas which have underserved environments where they don't reach good connectivity. So again, we spend quite a significant type of investment as government to get into these areas, make sure they have enough transmitters, enough BTUs, fiber cables to them, and also the transmitters in terms of wireless connectivity to their various areas so that they're able to get access to that one. And then this now is the promotion of the broadband access, which now we ensure that the digital divide between those who have access and those who do not have, that gap is reduced, right? To an extent where at least almost all Kenyans have. So most Kenyans have access through their mobile phones. So we make sure that the network is available. The devices, of course, are available, of course, affordable. And so that simple mobile devices should be able to access any source of services, be it government or from the private sector. As I mentioned earlier, we ensure cyber security and with our partners, Statmo University, among other partners. So the day-to-day ensuring that the Kenyan cyberspace is safe. So there are advisories which are sent to the various players in the industry, wherever they foresee some potential of cyber incidents that are likely to happen. So we give an average of about 400 to 500 advisories every day to more than roughly about maybe about 90 to 100 entities, which we consider as critical infrastructure in Kenya. So we do that on a daily basis, and of course, whenever they have any problems, we connect with them, we go and assist them. We have our red teams which actually go and can salvage somebody who has been attacked from a cyber attack or any form of cyber incidents. And we also do this in line with the building capacity and awareness to Kenyans, to inform government officers how best to use your systems in such a way that you are not vulnerable to the internet, isn't it? And also the best practices within the cybersecurity world. We also, some years back, ensured that we had connectivity to the international space or other continents. That's why we don't talk much about them right now, but we have about 5 submarine cables which land in Mombasa that connect us to the rest of the globe, okay? So we ensure that these submarine cables are up to date. Whoever we're operating them are operating them to standards. There shouldn't be cable cuts under the sea. And if they happen, then how do we ensure that they happen running back in limited time? I think basically it's around those areas that's in terms of infrastructure that we
Mr.
provide.
Joseph,
To the,
you are saying that even the issue of the digital divide, your entity and the government is ensuring that we narrow the digital divide, because that has been a major concern for most of the people, the issue of the digital divide.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So
you can speak
expounding on that.
Yeah.
So as we speak now, the government has a plan of laying down fiber across the country. There's a target of almost 100,000 miles, which we need to connect as many centers in the government as possible. And as you had mentioned earlier, all the counties' headquarters currently are connected. And we are putting huge investments to ensure that fiber connectivity goes to the farthest parts of the country as possible. We also have the wireless connectivity apart from fiber, whereby we encourage the various mobile operators. When I say mobile operators, I hope you understand which ones they are. I should not mention them, others I will be biased, right? Yeah, but maybe just to mention them so that you understand that is the Safaricoms, the Airtel, Equitel, and any other mobile operator out there. that they have access to all the corners of the country. But there are some areas, for example, you'll find that the mobile operators do not find it viable to invest in, isn't it? Because perhaps the numbers are small. You can imagine some town in the vast counties of Turkana, where a population of a huge, or of a very small population covers a huge ground in terms of area. So such places, now the government goes further and ensures that new transmitters communication gets there.
Yeah.
And this is achieved by, there's a special fund, which we call the Universal Service Fund, which the various operators pay religiously every year a percentage of their turnovers to enable them. So this fund, when it's collected now, it's when we do those tests in terms of defining where those access exists. Yeah, I mean, where the access gray areas exist. And then now we now go and deploy in terms of connectivity, making sure that 3G network, 4G and 5G is available in those areas.
Thank you. I think Mr. Joseph has given us a big idea on that. You can give him a clap as he grabs a bottle of water. We can go to Mr. Richard now to tell us the role of your organization in this e-government space and digital transformation. I've already heard that you are collaborating with the government, but you can go further to tell us.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mutegi. I think for us, it's very critical as an educational institution. So we start with the basics. Curriculum development. So looking at areas like cybersecurity, data protection, policy development. So for us, first of all, it's curriculum around these spaces. So as a center, for example, we have a cybersecurity certification, we have cybersecurity courses, we even have a master's in information and cybersecurity expertise or specialization. Secondly, we also do a lot of research and development. And I think one of the things that we've been working very closely with the Communications Authority is cybersecurity and testing, penetration testing. We have a TISOC that is basically a security operating center that sort of looks at the tests or test any threats that we have on cybersecurity. I think we detected some of those that happened last year. We were also able to share some insights with corporates that we are working with. These are just some of the areas. We've also been very big on e-health. I think if you remember 2020 when we had the COVID pandemic, you remember the counter that we used to have with the ministry every so often. That was developed within the center at iLab, within the university. So we used to share that information very closely with the Ministry of Health, and that has also enabled us to have a working relationship with the government. The third one is on policy development and policy innovation. This is basically looking at what are the policies that exist within these spaces. And that has been very closely with the School of Law within the institution. So for example, we have the Center for Intellectual Property that has been working closely with the Data Protection Office. This is looking at issues like data protection, data security, data privacy and such concerns. Because as we've seen with e-government or these platforms, is that you share a lot of data, both personal and organizational, but what measures or what systems do you have that can secure that data? Yeah.
So that research, are you sharing with my audience here? Are they able to access some of the research that you have done? Maybe some of it may require us to pay some little charges.
We always try and make this available to the public. For example, the CPIT studies are always on their links. The same for us. Anytime that we, especially when we partner with government, we share this information freely and without any bias.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll be talking more about that because we want to see the achievement later. But as you grab a bottle of water there, then we can go to Dr. Orengo, who can tell us the role of your organization, again, in this e-government and digital transformation journey.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mutegi. One of the things we need to note is that with data transfer, there will be no data transfer if there is no carrier. All right? And as DICUT, we project ourselves in accordance to our vision to be a premier technological university. leading in areas of innovation in across the spectrum. But for today, I want us to address the enablers of data transfer and how that system works. One of the areas that as a university have dedicated space to is the semiconductor technologies. And in these semiconductor technologies, we understand that there is no motion, there's no data acquisition or data transmission without the small things that make this thing carry, the main brain, the chips. So what have we done? As a university, first of all, we have zeroed down to enabling and to ensure that we have competent human resource that will be able to safeguard and also propagate this information across and sustain our semiconductor technologies. So we have established very, very specialized centers that are able, that perform certain tasks. One of the centers is of importance is the Nanomaterials Center. This is a center that designs the smallest, but the most intelligent and smart, all right? From there, we have worked very closely because, again, we also gifted as a university to have the first functional science and technology park. In this, we have clientele that serve the world, and that's why we work very closely with them. Number one, we have a semiconductor technologies company that is able to manufacture these devices that we designed from the Nano Materials Center. So this company, we cannot disclose the clientele we have right now, but one thing of confidence, we can tell you that we serve this globe. Among the things that rock this world, talk about the Boeings and those things, we drive them, all right? And how do we do it? We have a special gift, our students. God has given us very brilliant, talented young men and women that fit into this gap so well. And that's why we have programs that we have ensured that they are structured within that ecosystem. We have specialized centers. Once we have designed those things, we can fabricate them, and then we can be able to do what you call production of wafers. Wafers are very small things, but your phone, unfortunately, can't function without them, all right? So we have a center that is able to fabricate those, and a company that's able to actualize the devices that we are thinking about. In the students' spectrum, we have a center for data science and artificial intelligence, which is a key thing in terms of information processing. And the big data is the current big thing right now. Unless you know how to decipher the information we have coming across all the actors, we will not be able to make appropriate policy information. So we have a center that specializes in that. We have a center for software development. Software development, we used to incur a lot of expenses in terms of procuring things like the ERP system, management of internal information like the Workman system. Those ones, as DCUT, we have decided to say we are sorry, we need money for other activities, we don't procure them. You can imagine a saving of about 80 million, all right? That goes into facilitation of other investor activities, and that's why at DCUT, unlike in some other places, we do not cry for lack of money, but we cry for the lack of opportunity to use the devices and the opportunity that we have, right? And that sorts out, among other things, that probably would be very key in terms of research and development for the university. Then we have a fabrication center. And COVID also gave us a very good challenge when they introduced the issue of e-learning, all right? E-learning was something remote initially, but during COVID, we realized that that's the only direction to go, all right? And we participated in the DLP project in as much as probably as a country we did not go far, but as DCUT, we didn't stop there. We at least were able to come up with the first digital device for students, and that is in the process where we are looking at mass production. And a few hicks, but we have already a space, we have an assembly space, and we have already a surface mounting technology in space, which is soon going to be actualized. So in terms of enabling the e-government services, we stand as DCUT as men and women who make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari, for those wonderful even Strathmore and the coach, you came with your student. And I think as you delved into that issue of your achievements, or what you have done as an organization, some of us as VDS family, when we talked about the e-health, for example, Bwana Richard, I know the social and political pillar represented by Madam Juliet there was very happy about the e-health, and we have seen that working. The CUT, when we talk about the data science, I also know within the congregation here, within the audience here, there are people who have directly benefited from your good programs and innovative ones. And I think now, before we take some break, I want us to advance further. And before the audience can start asking questions, I wanted us to go to another round of questions where we now delve, Mr. Joseph as government, we delve now on what opportunities are there in government and the digitalization process. Are there opportunities that my audience can take home, can carry home, even as we, and how can the country leverage the same to enhance service delivery? Are there opportunities? Bwana Joseph.
Thank you very much for that question. Indeed, there are very many opportunities in the ICT sector. First of all, forgive me because I have a bias from the authority.
It's okay, it's okay.
But borrowing from other sister entities and what has been achieved, I think I've already seen that there's the e-citizen services and the e-citizen portal, which has been provided to all public, and almost, I think, to the tune of over 10,000 services are being offered in the e-citizen portal. So there's a great opportunity, because by converging all this into one portal, then we're able to have services, again, still improve on the issues of digital divide. Before, you'll have that Kenyans had to travel many distances just to get basic services. Mm-hmm. But now, with just having your phone or your gadget around you, we're able to apply and get key services, of which you can immediately put them to use without much delay. So this brings around a lot of efficiency. We have also improved in terms of payments by introduction of the single government pay bill to the 22222, where now we have visibility of all the incomes into the government, and we have a more efficient way of channeling funds which is coming into government, so that now it is now be able to channel back in a more robust manner in where it is mostly required to be used.
While at that, Mr. Joseph, I know there are many opportunities, but that single government pay,
yes.
Kenyans and my audience here might be asking whether it is safe or whether it is secure. I know they will be asking such questions. Can you address yourself to that issue?
Okay, so let's answer that question before it is asked. Yeah, so it is very safe, very secure. There's a multi-agency collaboration which ensures that the infrastructure behind those services are very safe and secure and very well taken care of. And as various entities on board and have their services running there, you are assured that indeed your resources are safe, and the standard operating procedures and the processes are governed through that multi-agency background, which includes, of course, the Communications Authority of Kenya, among other agencies, in ensuring that that service is provided to the best of its ability. Yeah, but we'll tell you, like any other cybersecurity expert, you can never achieve 100% protection. There will always be that 0.5 or 0.25 lapse in one way or the other. For example, if I would give my password to my colleague here, Timothy, knowingly or unknowingly, and he decides to do an unscrupulous activity on the system, wouldn't that not compromise the system? For example, it would.
Yes.
And you see now, but if you look at the root cause, it's not that the system is not intact. It's more of a people issue, isn't it? So it's more of the user issue. Yeah. So how have we empowered the users who are using the system to know it better? That's why now there's a campaign by most of the agencies which have offered their system in the service, that apart from just offering the system, they're also giving a training, basic training. That's why you see in newspapers, there's a whole page being taken, for example, by KRA, just to show you step by step how you can pay your taxes using the 222 system. So we need to educate each other. Of course, as they say, pin yako ni siri yako. Keep your passwords safe. Don't give to somebody else. Don't go to the cyber cafe and use the cyber cafe. Then you leave the system on and running. Because now the next person who comes in definitely will have an opportunity to log in and compromise into your system. Now you will not, in that case, don't blame the infrastructure of the system. It's more of blaming yourself and your carelessness. So there's that's what we call now the personal cyber hygiene.
Yes.
So there's a special campaign for cyber hygiene with the special, what I would call initiatives or special biases towards learning how to keep your password safe, how to log into the system and making sure you have logged out. So those personal cyber hygiene things which you need to do. Keep your password complicated. Don't make it so simple like 1, 2, 3, 4 or your date of birth or your second name, right? So you make sure your password is complicated. I usually recommend that you use your mother tongue. I think most of us have mother tongue. If you use your mother tongue on your password with some few passwords, with some few numbers, then you stand a better chance of having less probability of your process of your password being accessed.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is safe, it is secure, but of course I'm ready to engage more. If there'll be any further questions in that area.
Yes.
So we are coming up also with what is called open data initiatives,
Yes.
where we are making sure that government is giving its services to the public. At any one time, you can query, you can see how much has been done in terms of investments or various types of projects which are going on. And this can either be used by schools like universities for some serious data analytics, which can assist us in predicting the future, which can assist us in predicting of where we are going and how best we can tackle the tomorrows.
Yes.
We also encouraging the private public partnerships, as we said now, like in our area of cybersecurity, we have partnered with the Statmo University, of course, among others, in ensuring that our cyberspace is safe, and through research, knowing more, because the cyber threat actors out there, the hackers out there who come to hack our systems, they're also fairly advanced. You can't just imagine that they are not advanced. So we have to be ahead of them. In terms of knowledge, in terms of trying to understand which type of hacking is happening, so that we're able to handle it to the next level of events. Policy and regulatory frameworks. This is an opportunity which we can put in place, and we can ask you, as we speak now, a lot of policy and regulatory frameworks in terms of acts, in terms of bills, in terms of regulations and best practices are being put in place. Which we should share among ourselves, and we allow for public participation in this so that we get inputs. What I mean by this is we can make rules now, for example, on how best to use our various infrastructure. We can make rules. For example, you could say, if I give my password to Timothy willingly or and it is used badly, then I should be punished, isn't it? So then what type of punishment should I be given, okay? So now we are going into that space, and if you watch that space in government right now, a lot of cybersecurity regulations and also guidelines are being developed. It's an opportunity to give your inputs, where now we are able to tighten up our systems. So there are very many opportunities which we need to work with. We need to unlock the vendor issue. Sometimes we find we always go to one single vendor all the time because we feel they are the perfect. But why can't we not use open source opportunities where we have students from universities, as we have had, there's a lot of happening from Dedan Kimathi University. We need to go and explore more and find what else can be done where government has needs in terms of ensuring better and safer delivery of services to all. I think there are many other issues, opportunities we need to look at and to improve on them. Data analytics is an area which we are really encouraging universities to now adopt because it's an area really that even out there pays very well. Cybersecurity, as the more institutions or agencies are being opened, they need cybersecurity personnel, isn't it? Who can now go into their entities and assist them in their day-to-day running of the activities and ensuring everything that they are doing is safe. I think I'll stop it there at the moment so that I can
Yeah,
have an opportunity.
yeah, government has a lot to do and a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And I know Mr. Joseph can speak for many minutes and hours on this. But thank you. You can hear the opportunities are there from the government side. Now let's go to the people now in charge of research and development. Now, what are the opportunities, Bwana? Are there opportunities? What else are we not doing? Yeah, tell us.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mutegi.
Yeah.
I'll start with a couple of interesting ones within the university and also ones that we are working with partners and also sectors like SMEs and MSMEs. So for example, we have an incubation center within the iLab Research and Innovation Center, IBIS. We have partnered with a couple of private companies. For example, we have the Women in Tech program with Standard Chartered. This is basically looking at women entrepreneurs who are using technology to advance different developments or innovations in that space. So we've been doing that for the last 6 years. We have the 7th cohort coming up in April. We'll be launching that in April. We also have quite a number of engagements with the public.
Yeah.
I'll give an example of the Kids Boot Camp. This is looking at kids at the very basic age from the age of 8 to around 15 or 16 and offering them basic coding classes. Because we believe coding will become like any language, Swahili, English, or the way we are communicating here. So if your kid is not able to code or be able to use technology at that level, then you're not going to be competitive. So we keep that open to the public. We offer this every quarter in April, August, and December. Other programs, we have a neurodivergent program. This is looking at kids with dyslexia. And as Dr. has said here, is that if you look at dyslexic, it's a tongue twister, dyslexic kids, they are usually some of the best people to do coding and programming because they're able to focus on that particular task. And we have done this program for the last 2 years, and it has gained some good traction within that space. Over and above that, within the university, we have many other opportunities, e-learning opportunities, coming to partner with us either on research and innovation. There are quite a number of them.
So in terms of the 3 areas of the university that I want you and Dr. Orengo to address, the issue of e-learning, the issue of research, the issue of e-services, and the issue also of the e-learning, e-services, and also this issue of where we are saying now, like some services can go to, I know Dr. Orengo will address that, but at Stradmo, do you offer some services online or e-services, for example?
In fact, let me take you back a bit. I think Dr. Orengo here mentioned about COVID.
Yes.
In 2020, when the COVID pandemic happened,
Yes.
I think we were the first university within 2 or 3 weeks to get back online. All our students were able to get back online. And through that, now we've been able to do e-learning, not just for our own students, but within the region. So we offer this not just for our own students, but also for organizations that want to learn using the platforms in that space. We've also been trying to work with different partners within the government. I can give a couple of counties that we are doing the revenue collection models. Nairobi County is one of them, Busia County, Kisumu County. We have also worked very closely with Kirinyaga. I think there are 2 other counties that might come on board. And this is just looking at the ways they can improve their revenue collection models, do the data analytics and be able to predict which areas they can focus on, and also just tie down their revenue models and be able to offer improved services. The third one, I think, is on the research.
Research.
We have been trying to put our students up to task with the research that they put out there. Every so often we push them to do research not from a theoretical perspective, it's from a practical perspective. And some of the solutions they've been able to offer for example, the Kenya Small Business Development Center, again still within the university. That was a proposal from a student that did his master's in public policy, and it became a whole project by itself.
Okay. Thank you. I think Stradmo, you're doing much more, but the CUT now, again, I know what really opportunities, and I know also you're going to tell us what you're doing in that space. Proceed, Dr. Ari.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mutegi. I think I should say that the competence-based education system, I think with respect to the CUT, we started it a bit earlier. CBC. Why do I say that? We have two mandates as a learning institution. Number one is to do research, and number two is to develop human resource in academia. We have decided to craft a hands-on kind of approach towards these two mandates that we are talking about. In a nutshell, normally when there's a problem, for us, we look at it as an opportunity. One of the opportunities that we have had in the country is in the area of cybersecurity. And to enhance that and to contribute to the national agenda, we as a university in the academic end, we have come up with programs at master's and graduate level for cybersecurity sector. Now, in terms of, that's an opportunity for development of human resource. The other aspect is another opportunity is in trying to ensure that we can be able to have some of these softwares that we buy and become now part of our resource mobilization agenda. So, as I had alluded to earlier, when you come to Decode, and we like also part of you to be our customers, please, I should not just say this and then you drop me like that. We can be able to offer you an ERP system for your organization, at least at a customer-friendly price, so that we also need to raise our own revenue, all right? And so the system, when you come to Decode, we used to spend around 80 million, 100, all right? On acquisition of those softwares to manage the things that we can actually do. Because now our brother and our mother Ministry of Communication Authority can give us that opportunity, right? And that's what we are exercising, because why should we have a program in computer science and IT and go ahead to buy a software from India? You know, it breaks every form of protocol, I think. And to emphasize that we can be able to do that thing, we do it ourselves. And that's an opportunity that we have, and we are sending it out. Right now, we are protected under utility model, and we are able now to sell that technology. When it comes to digital devices, all right? Digital devices that which are a major player for this e-government thing, we are providing you an opportunity for a total production of the devices that you need, the memory space that you need. So what happens is you show up and you say, I want to develop a particular digital gadget of this kind of memory space, and I should be able to carry this amount of data, all right? And that is why we exist, and we shall be able to make it happen for you. I think that's another contribution to this government space. The other aspect is in data analytics and artificial intelligence, all right? We have a dedicated center just for this purpose, and for all, we are working with various partners across the globe, University of Cambridge, and among others, in this space to be able to provide this solution for us. You know, you cannot make a good policy document without information from data, right? You need data to inform your decision making, all right? So we have, apart from just being a center, but we also have graduate programs in it, and we have a number of projects that we are currently running. We are also the African chair. We also hold the African chair for data science. Now, when it comes to issues of infrastructure in ICT, we have a number of opportunities as well, which are well which are well domiciled within our various departments across the university fraternity. I would be glad to unlock if there's an issue that probably would like us in that space to help you, and we'll be at your service. As a university, because we are here to support government and to produce a human resource for government. Thank you.
Yeah, that's correct. I think you have give them a lot of crap, because I think we have talked for a lot of time without receiving any flower or any crap, and I think you can hear, you can get to know the opportunities, and all of them I know from Strathmore and the CUT are urging that all of us become clients in one way or the other. And I know that's a subject we'll be glad to take after this. Now, as we come to almost the tail end, I would like us now to look at the risks. Remember, Mr. Joseph, Dr. Even as we were talking about digitalization, e-government services, there are also some inherent risks that can come, and you have alluded to some of them as you were speaking. But now I want you to really focus on what are some of the risks that exist as we go to the e-government, as we go to the digital transformation. What are some of the risks, and what are some of the areas you as a regulator are keenly watching to see that we are not really attacked or maybe affected in any way? Dr. Joseph.
Thank you very much. We have already alluded to some areas, for example, like the area of cybersecurity.
Yeah.
It is indeed a big risk, and they say in every good application that you develop, or every good service that you develop with the aim of providing service, good service for that matter, in order of improving efficiency and effectiveness, there's always an negative element of which perhaps there's some sort of compromise that could happen.
Yes.
So that's one risk. And to mitigate this, of course, now we encourage best practice, which starts now at school level, maybe at university levels also, where now as you're developing, the developer who is developing that application, as you're developing it, you already have instilled in you values of ensuring that in every code that you put down, you already have other considerations of securing that code by ensuring that you have done the best practice so that it is tamper-proof, and ensuring that you have given it proper tests in the labs, in the sandbox environment. That's why we encourage the labs and the sandbox environment. Before now you launch and publicize these applications, be it a portal, whatever, you have done thorough tests with it.
Yeah.
And as government, we have entities like Communication Authority, among others, which we are ready, if you call upon us, to come and actually sit with you and do that testing together with you. So that now, when you launch, you have our approval. Yes, indeed, we have gone through this application, and we believe and we give it a tick that it is ready for service to the public. So those are some of the mitigation areas, building capacity, awareness, as I said earlier, even to the users. The person who is going to interact with the system needs to be informed. As you're interacting with it, what are the dangers? What are the areas that are likely to be compromised? So we have special campaigns and awareness on this. We even have special campaigns and awareness on child online protection, because as the DG had said earlier when he was here, is that over 70 to 80% of Kenyans are youth. And it is this population of people who are most conversant and are most explorers in terms of using digital devices.
Yeah.
So we need, again, as we expose them to the devices, as we expose them to the systems, to build to them, for example, what is social media?
Yeah.
What are the dangers of social media? How many of us, for example, have received social media threats, social media vulnerabilities? It is good. I know we go there to do business, right? To sell one item or the other, which is encouraged.
Yes.
But also there are those who are out there looking for who is the richest person in the social media that I can con. I can get a small shilling or here or a dollar here and there. So as you're doing a business, also be aware of those people. And also we are encouraging the social media service providers. And I'll mention them here, the Meta who own the Facebook, Instagram, for example, WhatsApp, the former Twitter, which now is called X. There's also there are many. I think you know them more than maybe than I do. We work with them and tell them, look, in the Kenyan space, if you're operating here, then you have to ensure the safety of Kenyans. You don't want to see any losses in terms of businesses. So they also bring aboard what they call policies. They call them standard operating policies, to which we work with them in developing them, to ensure that values in terms of also tradition, ethics that are followed, right? And these are also a very, very key in general use of social media. Now, the other danger is, I need to mention this, is the digital divide. Now, in this digital divide, as we guys who are in town here are getting more and more advanced, enjoying services and having a lot of fun, there are some guys around Turkana, Baringo, who even don't have homes. They are in school, their schools have closed. So they are, because of one reason or the other, they don't have that access.
Yeah.
So it's another risk that we really need to look at and see how to mitigate it. And one way of mitigating is, of course, to have or to bring on board those who have, to spare something so that we can share with those who have not, isn't it?
Yes.
So that now we are able to see how best we can extend these services to areas where they are not available, completely available. So it's a risk that we need to deal with as we continue. Privacy concerns, yeah, how much information should I give? When I go somewhere, do I register myself, provide my phone number, my email, and my,
ID.
after that, yes, what happens to that information after I leave it there? What happens when it falls in the hands? Sorry, Timothy, of giving you an example, but I know what start when the court are capable of. When they have that information, what can they do with it, right? So it's another risk that we have in terms of privacy. And that's why the government came up with the data protection department. It's called the Office of Data Protection, and there's a commissioner. And they go around checking people's data, ensuring that if there's serious breach of data, nowadays I've seen they've even begun to fine service providers who are misusing data of Kenyans. So that's some of the risks which are coming on. There are even some foreigners who had come here and taking photos, I don't know, of the eye. You remember that story? Something like that. So those are things that we have to protect against with. The legal and regulatory framework is a bit delayed because, unfortunately, technology, innovation, and research moves faster than innovation, than the laws, than the regulatory framework. So we find, for example, the M-Pesa, which is a good example which was given, or the money, we call it the mobile money services, without mentioning any brand, has been around for a while now. And when it started, most people were a bit afraid. How will it work? For example, you are just believing that there is money in this phone. And by you getting a text, it means that I have sent that money to you, isn't it? So it's more of a belief. But at the end of the day, when you realize that we can go somewhere and change that money to real paper, then you realize, wow, this is a working thing. But now what is the rules behind it? What happens when your money goes to the wrong person? How do you get it back, right?
Yes.
Yeah, how there's a confusion of numbers. There are those who now will call and tell you, tuma kwa hii number. Right? Tuma kwa ile ingine, hii haifagi. And when you send kwa ile ingine, you realize, or some they say, I'm calling from the school, your sister is here, or your son is unwell. We need to take him to hospital, send 7,000. Now what happens in such cases? So you find out now, that's where now the laws and regulations lag behind. But we are glad that this has been realized, and we are working with people such as yourselves and also institutions like the universities to develop some regulations, some guidelines to do this. Some Western countries have come to Kenya and are even studying this module of mobile payments just to understand how it works. Because in their countries, to today, they still can't believe that you can send money on air. So it's a technology that they are still learning and trying to understand. They prefer to use the credit cards among others. But for us, it worked well. And perhaps maybe there are even some other countries in Africa where it has been very difficult for it to work. So it's out of the goodwill and the willingness and the honesty of Kenyans and the high values in terms of ethics that we are able to put this to place. So these are risks now in terms of we need to build in terms of improving on the rules and regulations. I think I'll stop it there and perhaps have more discussions around. Yes.
Mr. Joseph, you have a lot of information.
Yes.
And I know such a forum really it's a sensitization forum also for our people to know. Yeah, so thank you very much. And I think one point you were saying before I release you is the issue of the belief, how people believe. So even in technology, that's why the young people are more apt in terms of uptake of technology than the older people. I think it's the value of the belief systems. Yeah, but as government, we are sensitizing.
Yes.
And
yeah, we are sensitizing that.
Yeah.
Being very alive that we are dealing with a large population of youth,
Yeah.
as opposed to, I'm not despising the older ones, but it's within the youth that there's a lot of goodwill.
Yeah, goodwill.
There's a lot of sharing of information.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that of late we have been seeing some not very good incidents.
Yeah.
Where there have been some social, what we call social engineering, and we find it gets physical to an extent. We have lost some of our loved ones through the initiation was through the device, but finally people meet physically and bad things happen. But that aside, there's a lot of goodwill among Kenyans.
Okay.
And I think that's an advantage that we need to take and take it to the highest availability. That's why the government and our president really insist and believe that that's where we can make money. Develop systems which now can be adopted and be used. So software developers, good opportunity. There are no risks there. And there are many people who have developed softwares and they have been adopted and used even by government.
Even by government.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So from now, research point of view and the academia, the teaching point of view now, what are the risks and what are we doing to mitigate against these risks? Mr. Richard, proceed.
I think Daktari has covered a whole raft of them, but I'll mention maybe one or two, or also some measures that we are doing to mitigate this.
Yes.
So I think one of the biggest is information overload. And I'll give an example of the institution, Strathmore, that I'm working with. So what we noticed over that period when we decided to transition from physical to online learning is that there were a lot of mental or wellness issues. So you notice students are sitting on the laptop or doing their lessons for almost 6 to 8 hours. So there is a lot of information coming in, but then they don't have time to go either to socialize or to do other practices. And that, you know, that effect now, 2 years later, we started noticing it either in the drop of grades or even some requesting for sabbaticals.
Yeah.
So what we decided to do as an institution is that we mitigate that by offering 30% of classes online, 70% we do physical. And that is a practice that we've tried to integrate even in the practices that we do with corporates. And this is something I think that can be done within the society. Because in as much as we want to do e-government or e-services, we also need to remember these are just gadgets to enable us do one process to the next. We can't be online all the time. Maybe to just mention on the mitigation circumstances or what we've done also as an institution is that we set up, I think I said this earlier, a cybersecurity center just to sort of looking at the cyber threats that we have, both as an institution and also as a country. We've also developed some policies around the digital data protection, again, looking at the privacy concerns and looking at issues to do with sharing of data, or how much data can you share, even as an institution. Then also, the third one there is the digital divide. And I think I alluded to this again. When you look at the students that are learning, most of these are 18 to 21. But we go back further and look at the kids and tell them, okay, this is the opportunity that you can have to learn within a learning institution, but then pick up on some of these practices. And also our students, one of the things that we are helping bridge that digital divide is that we offer them, or we ask them to do a community-based semester. So this, for example, in your 3rd or 4th year, you go out to Turkana or Uasin Gishu or a county that is beyond Nairobi, basically to build that community, be able to help them with a digital solution or help them digitize some of their services. Basically just to give that back to the community, but also for them to reflect and see this is a space that the country can change. Yep.
Thank you. I think your case also will be almost related to the code. Daktari, I know, again, you could have some risks that you know. Proceed.
Oh, thank you so much, Doc. You know, every new thing comes with some loopholes, right? Which present themselves as risk. One of the things I was expecting my colleague from Strathmore will talk about is what will be the quality of our graduates learning online throughout, right? And that's a huge risk because Onyango can sit for Atieno, right? And Atieno gets an A without appearing in class even a single, or listening to the class even a single. Then the Atieno progresses and gets a first-class honors degree. And you see, when it comes to an interview, all you need is a paper showing first class, all right? You cannot open the head to verify the integrity of these first-class honors, is it? But what will amuse you is when you give Atieno a simple exercise, right? That is when, okay, I'm not using Atieno for, I think this is a national stage, so I need to delete that one. So let me use X, right? Because where that name is, those are people who, they don't arrive, they actually land, all right? So, right? So they cannot be associated with such, all right? So what you're saying is, what will be the competence of our people, all right, when we go through online platforms, is it? And so all these services obtained online, at the end of the day, do we really have the right persons, okay? The mitigation factor, and we're doing it, is the issue of using a higher level of proctor mechanism to ensure that the actual person sits for this thing. And I also like the digital twin. In fact, in the area where we have a dual system, where we have physical and also online. For example, we offer a minor degree. All our students, we offer them a minor degree in general studies. That is in terms of to be able to know how to attend an interview, how to relate at workplaces, okay? So we have a minor degree in critical thinking, all right, which we offer to all our students. This is very imperative. We offer it perfectly online, but we have areas where we ensure that there's at least a physical presence that they're able to do. So that's the one mitigation factor. In terms of academic prowess, to come up with a better, well-seasoned human resource that will drive this country to the next level. The other aspect that we have found as a huge risk, even as we shape our students in technology field, and also bring them to the knowledge of sharing these all government services being free or online, we have the issue of loss of revenue. One of the things is that we are an entrepreneurial university. As I said, we are looking forward to ensure that we are able to fund our own activities through the sale of the intellectual property that we generate, okay? Now, currently, we have very many partners. And I can mention that, for example, right now, we have been identified by Safaricom with the Center of Excellence in IoT and also Center of Excellence in Robotics, all right? Now, where is that a challenge? You know, when a young man is associated with a company to the ilk of Safaricom, right, he wants to prove himself, is it? In the process, he may not know that the amount of the knowledge he's sharing is a gem elsewhere, okay? A keen eye, and we looks at it and keeps quiet, and encourages the student by giving some little token. We have lost actually 3 companies. One of them was Ryolab, the other one was Wild Eye, and then there's one that was celebrated by the president, the Smart Farm, right? Those things were from our hackathon, all right? So, in as much as it was mentioned by the President Kenyatta in, I think that was 2021 something, and it has been uptaken actually out here. But what did we do? We lost revenue, okay? The student was lured by around 50,000, and the technology was gone, you get. We had, in Ryolab, we went into a competition, they were given around 800,000, okay? And the students decided to vanish, all right? So you see, that's the risk now we learn in terms of helping our students to become technological savvy, but they are talented human beings, all right? So in whichever way, that's a bit of, so how do we mitigate that?
Yeah.
What we have done is to ensure that every technology that our students come up is well protected currently, and we closely monitor. As a director for innovation, I closely monitor and be able to safeguard that by working closely with the KIPI. in terms of that, we are able now to get utility models and patents that gives monopoly at least for around 20 years for a patent and for 10 years for a utility model. This will please bring the services or these innovations within the revenue earning streams for the university, and also to empower our own people to progress. Because we like you, when you receive a graduate from Kimathi, you are receiving a graduate that's well seasoned and has an idea of what is coming to do in your organization. You are not coming to retrain again, all right? And that is the drive that we have, so that we mitigate this other potential risk of being stolen and the technology getting lost, but also we produce a human resource that a country deserves at the moment. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I think we are all hearing the various opportunities and the risks. And I think they have taken a lot of time to discuss issues that really affect even the country, even the government, as we do this e-government, digitalization, and the digital transformation. I think now, because of our time, we have spent our time very well. I wanted to give each one of you now, before we go to the plenary, but I can also wait. We can go to plenary first, then I will come to the parting short, because so that it's not so monotonous, monologous. I think let's go back to the plenary, and I don't know whether Suleiman has come, but yeah, I wanted us to go to the plenary, or media questions, where questions can come. We can have participants asking a few questions. I know there are students also, and yeah, so. Yeah. So, yeah, I see a hand there. Oh, the director also is there, yes. Welcome, Director Maruf.
Thank you very much. Actually, mine was to start us off and do the icebreaker for the plenary session.
Yes.
Very interesting discussion from the discussant. I think well thought ideas and a lot of opportunities. I want to pose one question, probably to Dedan Kimathi University. They always say, where there is a problem, there is an opportunity. In your last statement, you have indicated that the X can sit for Mr. Y in an exam, isn't it? We might not be so sure as we go the digital way. Probably with your center, you have mentioned you have a very interesting center on artificial intelligence, and that's where the world is going. We are focusing towards artificial intelligence. I was listening yesterday, a very interesting discussion around Meta on how they monitor hate speech across the globe. They have over billions, actually 3.7 billion people who keep posting on a daily basis. And they monitor, receiving certain words that they regard as hate speech or derogatory words. Maybe it's an opportunity for the center, AI center, to come up with a system that will detect Ismail biometric features. And then once I sit, periodically, it further tests whether it is the same Ismail that is sitting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As you said, every problem is an opportunity, and exactly that's what we do. In the Center for Artificial Intelligence, Data Center Artificial Intelligence, they are working on a number of projects. One of them, and to a deeper level, right, is the face recognition, right? And also in the area of, they are developing currently a prosthetic limb that you can be able to monitor and to help surgeons be able to know a patient, monitor a patient from wherever he is, all right? And be able to address that. So the issue of identifying particular characters or indicators, what you call them, elements, that's something that they are already working in the field of speech recognition. If you can work on controlling a wheelchair, a self-automated wheelchair, by a person who has got no limbs, right? You know, sometimes God may not be, okay, I don't want to use that other word. But now you have no hands, you can imagine, and you have no legs. But we have been able to develop that wheelchair now. Simply by, if he faces like this, he can be able to command the wheelchair to move like that in that direction, And if it turns, or if there's a danger this side, if from this side, can we say, this one is a solution that was come through our Origin Lab innovation. So we up to the task, and those are among the solutions that are within data science and artificial intelligence sector, within the university. I would like you to visit our Origin Lab and see a bit more than that, what I've just talked about.
Artificial intelligence, and right now, worldwide, it's a great phenomenon, making different changes across different spheres of life. And right now in Kenya, it's in the market. And my question goes to you two. From the higher learning institutions, what adjustments are you making to ensure that when students come out, they are ready to coexist with artificial intelligence? Because in January, the IMF projected that 40% of jobs are going to be impacted due to artificial intelligence. So, and this also relates to Kenya because it's worldwide. So that's the first question. What are our learning institutions adjusting to ensure that these students are ready for the market to coexist with artificial intelligence? And also, another question goes to Communications Authority, our representative. You've talked about the government making initiatives to narrow the digital divide. And right now we have the e-citizen. It's a good solution, and it's bridging so many gaps in payment of for government services. And one of the aspects of it that I've learned is that not many people know how to use it, because last week I was having a conversation and I was saying that even exchanging the ownership for a logbook, you have to use the portal. But you find that not everyone knows how to use it, because I remember him saying that he was requested to share his logins for eCitizen so that a third party can make the transfer, which is so dangerous. So maybe on your side, what are you doing to ensure that also these government services, citizens are well versed with them, how to use them? Yes, thank you.
Okay, let me start as an educational institution and answer your question on AI. So at Strathmore, what we did, especially with AI, in the last, I think even during the pandemic, we had to rewire our lecturers, our faculty on AI, on tools, digital tools, all those capabilities. We provided that, and we are continuously telling them to retrain and relearn. Secondly, one of the things that we've done, especially, for example, with the use of ChatGPT, we use it in class. Because we give you the, the platform and tell you, can you do an assignment using ChatGPT? And can you do the assignment using your own input? Now, using those two models, then you're able to give your own input and give us something that is authentic. What we have said is that AI is with us. We cannot live without it. We cannot do without it. We have to learn it. We have to continually apply ourselves, and we have to continually use it to make the best solutions. I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you. Secondly, one thing we need to accept is this is the current dispensation. AI is here to stay, and we are not going back, all right? Now, what do we need to do next? What we need to do next is to hone our capabilities and improve our capabilities every day. Now, what does an institution as a university needs to do? Is first of all, is to ensure is to create an opportunity for enhanced training and hands-on training for that matter, in accordance with the competence-based system that we are trying to advocate for. So what we are doing in this case, that we need to have a graduate that has a hands-on experience on this. If you come to our Center for Artificial Intelligence, Data Science and Artificial Intelligence, all you'll get in that place, in that room, are all our students, all right, at various levels of training. Others are undergraduate, others are postgraduate level. What have we done? Is to enable them stay in that by working with partners to ensure that they are all funded. That's why if you come to our Artificial Intelligence Center, most of those people you see there are actually undergraduate students and postgraduate students who are funded by that center. So the artificial intelligence has created an opportunity, all right, for generation of funds to enable human capacity development. I would wish that you visit us.
Maybe, sorry, just before you answer. One last one on the same is that we've partnered with institutions that are able to offer such technologies. For example, we partnered with Taltech University in Estonia, one of the biggest users of e-government or e-citizen solutions. So using such partnerships is that our students are able to learn new technologies, apply the same technologies as he said, and be able to see from best practice across the world. Thank you.
Now, what I'd like us to do is hold on to all the questions. We ask all the questions at one time, then they can just continue answering them. And I think I'd like to start with the online platform. Quite a number of people also watching us on YouTube. One particular question is from a gentleman by the name of Jean. He says, I'd like to know how far the laying of the 100,000 kilometer of fiber optics is in line with the digital superhighway in the BETA program. And then if there are any other questions, anybody else in the room?
Thank you. My question goes to Communications Authority of Kenya. I've traversed this country quite well, and the challenge that we are still facing is that mobile phone connectivity is still a challenge in some areas. I must admit that about 2 weeks ago, I was at the border of Kenya and South Sudan, and even the people there fear calling because just several kilometers before you reach the border, you get the signal from South Sudan that welcome to South Sudan. Yes. When I went there, I asked the officers. They said that there, if you try use your mobile phone, you will use all your money. So how are we addressing that to ensure that all our borders, there is mobile phone connectivity? Thank you.
I think I also have a question, maybe not one, because sitting in this room, I see the potential of technology, and I'm surprised because I think and feel that the digital divide is still wide. I'm not in Lodwa, yet some of the information that has been shared in this room feels very new to me, and I think I'm a bit exposed to some extent. So I think we need to devise more elaborate means of just helping to narrow that digital divide. I want to ask questions about how well have we captured data, and how well are we using data in terms of helping us solve problems, in terms of predictions. I look at how well are we able to even do planning, data planning, through IT in terms of spurring economic growth, identifying where should government do investment, identifying if we're traders, where is it that we should do markets, where should I take my cabbage if I'm a mamboga. How well have we integrated data, data research and technology in terms of creating efficiency and promoting economic development from where we sit. I also want to just ask a question on the artificial intelligence developments, because I see in my life, I've seen data, I have seen IT and technology being very explosive, and every 2 years or every 1 year, you find there's a new thing. I think in the new millennium, in 2000s, we had what we were calling the .com, where it's when we were just starting to adopt emails, and everybody was either on yahoo.com or gmail.com. We moved, we went to WhatsApp, Facebook, now we're at AI, we are at ChatGPT, and I'm feeling as if we are not moving together, because to date, there are people still who have not even embraced .com. There are people who still do not know what WhatsApp means. I do not know how ready and what is it that we are put in place as measures for adaptability in terms of AI. For example, now AI is with us, but I do not know as the person now working at Social and Political Pillars Directorate, what are the interventions that I can myself use for AI and say that it's impactful? So if I am in that situation, then how does a common mwananchi who is out there then interact with these new technologies? Are we not expanding the digital divide and just creating a top-tier knowledge base and leaving everybody else behind? So those are just my few remarks.
Thank you. My name is Beatrice, working for Kenya Vision 2030. I wish to ask a question related to e-health, whose strategy is actually anchored on the Vision 2030, or rather on the achievement of Vision 2030. One of the challenges that we have suffered as Kenyans is poor diagnosis, medical diagnosis. You find somebody going to the hospital, being treated for this and that disease, but eventually it is declared that it is a different condition. How can we leverage to ensure that at least we manage the patient data and diagnostics?
So this one is on regulation of artificial intelligence in Kenya. In November, we had a petition in Parliament that was seeking to establish the Artificial Intelligence Regulation Act 2023, whereby so far we have not had any progress on it, but my question is, maybe do you support regulation of artificial intelligence in Kenya? Because in the European Union, in January, they passed the act, and it's awaiting ratification in May, around May this year. So my question is, do you support it, or what do you think about it? What do you think about it? Because one of the aspects of the act was that it required registration of any player or any person who is making a product out of AI to be registered, or without registration there was a fine, and also it also required membership of any player in the AI industry to be registered with the established AI regulatory body. So I'd like also to get your thoughts on the same. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Oliver from Dedan Kimathi University. I'm happy to be here, and I have heard a lot, and to an extent that what I was not expecting to, I have heard it as well. So I have a couple of questions here, and my first question will go to Mr. Joseph. He talked of, he mentioned of we having difficulties as in terms areas like accessibility of the internet or the internet users or the mobile users across the country. So we have heard of government thinking of introducing the e-citizen payment fees. So my question is, what research, given that you say that we have, yes, we have mobile phones, and we have those peoples in some areas within the country, they cannot access the internet or mobiles. So which research, given that you need to induce these policies into the country or into the mind of people, which research have you come up with in order to ensure that everyone has the capability of doing the same, using the platform to carry out or to pay the school fees? Then another question is, similar to the same person, Mr. Joseph, how can we effectively leverage digital tools to create meaningful avenue for young people to contribute to policy discussions and decision-making process? Because we find that sometimes, and that's why I feel like there is miscommunication between the government and the people they are leading, because there is a way in which the government fails to understand the people and the people fail to understand the goals of the government. So in which way can we leverage the digital activities to have a platform whereby we can engage the local people in terms of making decisions towards leading the people, the human beings? And the last questions will go to Mr. Richard. We have talked of, you talked of the cyber security, and you talked about, we talked of the cyber disposal as well. We mentioned a lot about the risk that comes with these digitalizations. And we find that we are using cables because I'm a tourism enthusiasm student. So we were discussing with my director about how does the government or how does the technology has bring about the disposal of waste in terms of the cables. The cyber cables, yes, we are installing and thinking about it, but in which way are we thinking about it in such a way that in which way are we taking them so that we don't have the harm into the environment, so that we ensure that our environment are as well as safe? I think that is my questions. I would like to hear more from your side. Thank you so much.
I think we can stop from there and have them answer. I think there are too many questions. So we can start with the question, answer those ones, and then we can continue from there.
Yeah, oh, it's on already, sorry. Yeah, a number of questions directed, of course, to Communication Authority and also to the government. There was one, I think, which was asked and not addressed. This is with regards to how do we ensure that all Kenyans know how to use the services online in the eCitizen portal. Well, all those services, coming to about 10,000 of them, are being offered by various government agencies, and they belong to an agency. So we all go, like Communication Authority, for example, we have provided about 83 or so services within the portal. And once you have provided the services, it's again your responsibility as the agency to demystify how best that, or to articulate how best that the services should be used. That's why now you are finding, if you have been seeing online newspapers, or perhaps even the physical newspapers, some entities, like I had mentioned earlier, like KRA, have actually put a step by step on how you're supposed to, for example, pay your taxes, or to be compliant on your taxes, how to get your compliance returns. So there's now a deliberate effort. The initial drive was to have the services on board. And then now, of course, we are bringing out the education. Each entity is bringing out the education to the Kenyans of how best to use them. Actually, even the ones of teams, it is there. They have a step-to-step process. If you check still on the portal, you will see the instructions. You can download them separately. But now the thing is how to demystify and to do it. We will get there. We are a learning nation, and as Malimu explained, and I know some of the Statmo students are currently in Estonia, and they are going to learn how the Estonians did it, so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? So we'll come up, of course, with strategies and ways of ensuring that all Kenyans don't miss out in terms of knowing how to use the eCitizen portal. Yeah, but indeed, of course, I'm also seeing here an opportunity again, if we went back to opportunities for those cyber cafe operators and other people who think you can assist in that process, as long as you don't get people's passwords. Let them do it by themselves without necessarily sharing the passwords. But why don't you guide somebody through a process and to get a small service fee after that? It's another opportunity for us helping each other. There was a question on coverage. I know there's my colleague from Ministry of ICT. I don't know if he has the exact number of the miles so far. Please allow me to check on how much has been covered so far. I don't want to give a figure which can be misquoted, but I know there's been a lot of progress. There have been tenders going out there, and there are a number of entities which are currently on the ground laying down the fiber with an effort of achieving the 100,000 kilometers. So through VDS, please allow me to give the exact figure of coverage later. And then there was an online question, which, oh, actually that was the online question. That was the online question. Yeah, and there was now my brother who asked about the borders, what happens when you reach near a border. and suddenly you find your phone is calling, it is telling you are now roaming. You are now roaming, you're in a different environment, yet you are still in the Kenyan cyberspace. Yeah, it's a challenge which we have. Even sometimes when you travel to Tsavo and you go towards Taita and Taveta areas there, if you are near there, you also get that message which tells you, welcome to Tanzania. And now you are about to roam to another network. So as a regulator, as a communication regulator, actually we are working with our sister regulators in the other countries, in this case South Sudan, Tanzania, and Somalia, and Uganda, all our neighbors. And what causes this is that the mobile network operators of their countries have put transmitters which are too powerful, that they are overspilling through our borders and reaching our border, and then now, of course, interfering with services on our end. So we have a team which does quality assurance, and they do frequently visit the borders, and they have frequent discussions with the sister communication regulators in those countries to inform the various mobile operators that you are propagating too much signal frequency across this border, then you need to reduce it so that it doesn't spill over. But however, you cannot have a complete zero spillover, because our borders, I won't say they are porous, but you cannot, in the cyber world or in the cyberspace, there are no borders. Okay, you are all part of the border. In fact, once you have a mobile phone, the whole world actually is in your phone. You can access US, you can access America, UK, whichever country, right? So, but in terms of frequency and mobile, there's that spillover which happens. So, and they also complain whenever our equipment is too strong and goes to their countries. So there's what we call physical frequency spectrum planning, where we agree and tell them, okay, now when you reach here, use this frequency. If you use this frequency, perhaps our devices here will not pick. And then now you use the other frequency. So there's a lot of discussions where we go at regional level through the East African Communication Organization, IACO, Communication Organization, or sometimes we take each other, if it's very persistent cases, we go report them to a body called International Telecommunications Union, which is based in Geneva, where now all those complaints are put in place and they are resolved. So the issues, I believe they will be resolved with time. Some have already been resolved, like I think Savo, and they have agreed, but mobile operators are also they're into business. So they know when they are near the border, that's where most of biashara happens, isn't it? So again, they learn to have a lot of their frequencies there. So it's an issue that the authority looks at it, it's currently being resolved. I'll leave the other one on issues of data, how it is captured, how it can be used best in research to my colleagues here. And maybe I just pick the one for mine and then I close so I can allow my colleagues to answer. The issue of e-health and Vision 2030, poor medical diagnosis. I'll also leave that to my colleagues to address, because I think it means a multi-agency, if I may just say, approach to this, where we have the practitioners, the facilities who are being provided. Now we have, I thought somebody was going to ask about the SHIF, that is the Social Health Insurance Fund, which is supposed now to streamline all these medical services and have one common area of getting your services. If you go through those regulations and you read that, what SHIF is about to offer, those are some of the issues that the SHIF is going to resolve as it's migrating from NHIF. But that's on the government end. On the technical end, I leave my colleagues to address it. I wanted to mention something about regulations. You mentioned about regulations of artificial intelligence in Kenya. I had mentioned earlier that there are a lot of regulations going on right now. Even those on cybersecurity are being drafted. Regulations on bitcoins and how to use bitcoins what do you call this, cryptocurrency. Thank you. Among others, all these are regulations on new and emerging technologies that are being developed and being looked at the ministry of level. There are quite a number of task forces, working groups which have been formed. They do a lot of advertisements on online newspapers, Kenya Gazettes, of what they are coming up with. So as Kenyans, we have a responsibility to also pick on those things and give our inputs. Because I know you are concerned, you are saying that you have to register somewhere, and you register, it's a process, and it derails or it frustrates your effort towards innovation in terms of artificial intelligence. Then it's an input you need to give to those regulations so that now they can now go and soften them up. The good thing is we have technocrats out there who are drafting this, and they are listening to Kenyans, and they expect, they wouldn't know each and every challenging aspect that will be foreseen in the future. But if you are foreseeing one already, then it's a opportunity to bring it abroad to them, either in writing. They usually provide email addresses, or you can actually physically present yourself, and they allow you to listen. And these regulations, before they become a law, they go to Parliament. Also, Parliament do announce public sessions. They never stop anybody from going to present them. You can actually go there as an individual in a public session and give your presentation. And then the considerations are done. Yeah. Yeah, then there was an issue of Oliver had asked me on issues of access and internet and digital divide, and how do we make sure that this is done. Of course, now there's a deliberate effort through the Universal Service Fund. There's a board which they work, which manages the fund, of course, through the Communications Authority of Kenya. There's a team of people who their work is just to do research and to study the Kenyan demography in terms of geography and how it appears, and try and identify those areas, the needy areas and the access gaps. And there are a number of reports which are even available on the Communication Authority website, which says now these are the areas which we need to look at, and these are the areas that we need to improve. If you recall, during the last general elections, there was a big concern on if there will be, was it 3G to all parts of the country, and if the results will be able to be transmitted. And there was a very big concern before the elections. But what happened after the elections? Nobody mentioned about that anymore. Why? Because a lot of improvements have been done, and transmissions were done, I think, to 98%. So which now, we don't foresee now, even in the future, anybody coming to say that there was an issue of transmission because there was no connectivity. So a lot of improvement is happening in that space. And as we continue, it's good to bring those reports of the gap areas so that we can address them. I think those are my questions, and I think I've addressed them. If I haven't addressed any, please, we are still here, and we should be able to pick them up. But I need to give a chance to my colleagues also to address theirs. Yeah, thank you.
Proceed, Richard.
Okay, I'll start with the data, or use of data. I'll give maybe 2 or 3 examples, especially as an institutions that we are working on. Last year, from 2022, we worked with the Director of Public Prosecution. We are digitizing their records and the way they sort of store their records for the cases and such information. It's still an ongoing process, so that then it's easier for someone to access. If, for example, you have a case in, you have a ongoing case, and you want to refer to the progress, then they've enabled courts to do this online, and you can also access that information online. We've also worked with the UN and the county government for Nairobi. We are looking at a carbon, we're calling it a carbon emissions index. So this is looking at the carbon emissions that occur within the city and looking at areas that either are too high or too low and making recommendations. So either on reforestation or growth of vegetation and reducing the urban mobility, or even just sort of looking at traffic and how you can manage that so that then you reduce the carbon emissions. It had its first phase last year. We're about to get into the second phase. There's also a proposed project looking at land consolidation, and this ties in again with the government's agenda on affordable housing. This is because of what we've noticed, especially in areas where we have counties which have arable land, like in the central parts of Kenya or western or Nyanza, and telling guys that you don't need to subdivide this land further. Maybe you can consolidate it and put it into better economic use, and that way you can benefit as a community, one from social planning or planning of amenities, and also provision of the required services. The next one is on e-health. The lady who asked the question is not in. Yes, we are developing a couple of solutions, both with the ministry and also private sector, on helping look at diagnostics and helping that we are able to make the right diagnosis for patients or people who are seeking medical services. We are also partnering with the Kenya Health Informatics Association. This is just to provide more information around the health space and giving this again to both private and public health providers. We are also working with the county governments in the same, there are about 7 county governments that we are working on e-health. We've also been contracted by the government of Zanzibar to help them provide a platform on e-health. And I think that again will translate into e-citizen or e-government solutions. On the AI Act, I would not be for pro or against for this moment. I think we help inform the policy. Hence, we always give open discussions and open sessions within the university so that we look at what is the best for the act. Because as we said, and Dr. here said, AI is here with us. We cannot live without it. We have to use it either for, and I think you have seen even private companies using it for their advertising or for their communication. It's just informing that policy and helping give the best breed of what can come out, both as a country and also as institutions. We've also don't want to stifle innovation because some of the innovations that will happen maybe in the next 3 or 5 years, they'll come through AI. So we just provide that enabling environment and breeding space. On the e-wastes, we are also partnering with a couple of institutions to do that. First, we do that as an institution. We always provide laptops or devices to our students as they come to first year. But as they leave, we also give them the option, one of either retaining the devices, but also for those ones that have been, past their use dates, we partner with organizations like Computer for Schools in Kenya, also some of the manufacturers like Nokia, Samsung, just to find a better way of disposing this. And I think that's a concern across the board because there's such a high incidence of e-waste that is coming from mobile devices, cables, all these peripheries or devices that we're using. I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, we can hear from Dr. before we do the final. Yeah, Dr.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to comment on a few things. Number one, in the area of e-health. All right, and the concern was right, the issue of misdiagnosis. But let's appreciate one fact. With the incorporation of e-health in terms of medication, it is also going to improve a long way in terms of these misdiagnosis things. Now, can you imagine working with some prescription from point A of the same facility to point B of the same facility, but you know how doctors scribble those things, all right? Now you take to a pharmacist, and these are real cases. I hope some of you probably could have had, could be victims. The way the guy wrote, the pharmacist doesn't see it, all right? What happens? He gives you Panadol instead of AL, all right? Because these things happen. Number two, the current use of these e-services in hospitals is quite improving even how we run some of these diagnosis and treatment cases. You go to an X-ray, they do a picture, and they tell you, go to the doctor. It saves, number one, saves you time. Initially, you are supposed to wait, all right? Wait, the picture comes out, it has to dry, then you take it there. But if you go to some of these hospitals that embraced e-health, you quickly move without any paper, okay? You go to the microscopy section, they finish with you. You go to the lab, they finish with you. And then you go to the doctor who already has all the information. How does that help you? It helps the doctor to come up with the proper diagnosis of what you actually expected to be suffering from. Two, it also helps in comparison. Assuming that you did not like what Dr. A said, another doctor can be given access and you're able to get a second opinion, okay? So e-health is the way to go in as much as it may be not. Anyway, anything new has challenges and there's also a fear for the unknown, right? But I think the faster we incorporate it, the better. The other aspect is in terms of this issue is in the area of biomedical engineering. In the area of biomedical engineering, for example, the use of the application of artificial intelligence. I just gave you an example of the prosthetic limb manipulation by orthopedic doctors. And the other one is in the area of, for example, development of wheelchairs, right? For totally disabled persons. How do we use that? We use facial expressions. We use body psychomotor effects to be able to guide a person around. So the issue of artificial intelligence is important in e-health as much as probably we may not like it. Number three, when you go to cases in places where you have very few specialists, all right? You can imagine you are in Turkana, and peradventure they have some internet connectivity. A doctor in Nairobi, a special doctor in Nairobi can be of help, okay? Without you physically being in Turkana. So it is important that we incorporate this in our health systems. The other thing is artificial intelligence, again, in terms of productivity mainstreaming. Initially, people used to say that when you go to a government office and you get a coat on the chair, then know that the person is around, is it? He will come to pick it at 5, and he has registered a day. But with the productivity mainstreaming, if we incorporate artificial intelligence, then we are able to know whether work was actually done or not done, and it's different from the normal PC, all right? The normal PC, all we needed to say that I'll buy 1 cup, I'll buy 1 bottle of Dasani, and at any other time you can buy that 1 bottle of Dasani, and then you say that here the box is ticked. But with the productivity mainstreaming, one tool that will be of importance is the use of artificial intelligence, because that one will tell us when the 1 bottle of Dasani was actually bought and what were the economic implication of the same, all right? So this is something that we cannot actually escape, and it's also going to a long way to foster our e-citizen incorporation in government facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we are now coming to almost that session. So I think I wanted each one of the institutions represented. You can bear with me that they have had very informative information. They were well informed, well resourced, and we would like to continue engaging them. But because of time issues, I think I want to give each one of them 1 minute each to say your parting shot, starting from the government here and then to the university. Please, Mr. Joseph.
Yeah. Thank you very much. My parting shot is I appreciate this forum. I think it's very informative. I must say I've gotten good feedback already, which I will take back to my boss at the Communications Authority. And however, it's important to know that opportunities are there. We can always leverage on various opportunities as long as we are informed and we know about them. And it's such forums like this that we're able to know of the various opportunities that are available out there. Today we have mentioned quite a number of very interesting terms, which currently are the peak in the country. So if in the schools they are not being taught, then it's a problem, but I'm glad that they are being taught in the schools. So it's an opportunity to look at, for example, issues like we have heard about data analytics, we have heard about artificial intelligence, we have heard a lot about cybersecurity, and these are areas which you can specialize on as an individual, read more, dig deeper, and perhaps even start offering a service. We have heard that there's an opportunity of even offering services to the users of the e-citizen portal, and there's an opportunity of creating capacity and awareness. So these are an area of discussions that we need to continue and to continue taking to the next level. Others from Communication Authority, we really appreciate on behalf of the Director General to be here, and we appreciate the DG here for allowing us this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Mutegi, for the invitation. I think for us as an institution, we look at this as a very good opportunity for us, not just to share with the public what we are doing, is also to partner with the government in enabling some of these practices or technologies or transformations to happen. If you notice, a lot of the e-citizens or services that are going to be offered, they'll affect each one of you. So is it on registration of persons? Is it registration of car licenses or acquisition of property? All these are things that affect you and I every day. So if, as an institution, we can help build that capacity, make the public know about this, and also offer platforms that students can learn and apply themselves, that's the best that we can provide for this public. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to appreciate the Vision 2030 Delivery Unit for giving us this opportunity to come and at least talk about what we do. We are hidden somewhere in the central part of this country. We actually, when you are where we are, you can call yourself a Kenyan because that's where the Mount Kenya is, all right? So you can call yourself with confidence by looking at the mountain itself. We are happy to be part of this conversation today to bring to fore some of the things that we may be doing under the mountain. We also to implore the fact that e-citizen services is the best way to go. And as a university, we are supporting this by producing competent human resource in this space. The other thing is that also to invite you to patronize some of our products like the ERP, which probably you may not have known, and probably are spending a lot of money buying it from India. When you buy it from India, all you are telling us is that your son and daughter in our university is not worthy to be there, but is supposed to be in India, all right? So kindly please embrace Kenya, buy Kenya, promote this country and promote us, all right? In the area of artificial intelligence, we would like you to partner with us and also come on board and be part of our ecosystem in terms of progression of technology in that space. We are saying we have centers that are functioning in that area, and we are producing products. And that's for example, currently we are in partnership with the Kenya Forest Service and Kenya Wildlife in monitoring the wildlife in a number of conservancies in this country. That's part of recognizing the fact that we can provide viable solutions. So on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, Dedan Kimathi University of Technology, I would like to invite you to come sometimes and visit and be able to learn some of the innovations that we are already in space. Because probably some of you are hearing for the first time that we are able to export chips and not to import. So very soon, phones, the whole phone, will be produced in this country. Courtesy of Dedan Kimathi University of Technology. Thank you.
Share them with us on social media. What we'll do is we'll forward them to the panelists and get back to you. And for those who are online whose questions have not been answered, we'll make sure that you get answered. We'll forward them to the panelists and we'll get back to you. Thank you very much for following us.
Dr. Ari? Now I want to invite my director to proceed. Thank you, Director.
I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much, panelists, for tackling the agenda of today very, very, very much effectively. And I also extend the same to the audience. The questions were very insightful. Now, as we are coming to the end, I would like to invite our DG just to say closing remarks. Thereafter, I'll invite Madam Juliet to give vote of thanks. Thereafter, we'll go for media interviews for the panelists. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon. Is it afternoon yet? Yes. Good afternoon. Have you had a good session? We're here as government to demystify and explain what it is we do in government. We're your employees, huh? Anybody who's a civil servant or a public officer or a state officer is your employee. So we're here to explain what it is we do. We come to work every day, 8 to 5. What is it we do? We have explained today. I'm very happy to hear about the innovations in this space, especially at Dedan Kimathi University. You'll be surprised to know that Dr. Mwangi, Anthony Mwangi, is the gentleman doing the semiconductors. Yeah, semiconductor technology at Dedan Kimathi University in Nyeri. Yes. So we can do these things here. We need to stop outsourcing our thinking abroad. We need to stop outsourcing our thinking to other people. All the solutions to all the problems in this country are here in this country. And the solutions are coming from our heads. My head, his head, our heads. That's where the solutions are coming from. So Ruwaza Center is here to ideate, to give an opportunity for whoever has an idea that can take this country forward in any direction. Come here. This is your home. This is the home of ideas. Not complaining, not whining, and not saying why things don't work all the time. Here we move the agenda forward with thinking. We say this is a problem, these are the solutions we think need to be done, and then we work with policymakers and implementers to make those things happen. So this is a good space, and we're calling on the youth of this country. If you're 40 and below, 35 and below, the future belongs to you. Us, we are caretakers. Aren't we caretakers? We are caretakers. And if you look at the demographic pyramid of Kenya, everybody who's 50 and above is less than, what percent? Less than? We're less than 10%? We're less than 15%. Everybody who's 50 years of age and above, you're less than 15% of Kenya's population. So look at whoever is making all the decisions in this country, look at their age, and then begin to realize that the 85%, which is 35 years and below, needs to start pulling its weight. Start pulling your weight. Yeah? Less complaining, more solutions. So with that, I just want to thank you very much for your time. I want to thank this gentleman for making time to come here. I want to ask you to support this initiative. Come again. Come again. Strathmore University is leading in very many fields. I won't say much about Strathmore University. We're happy about the work you're doing, and we're happy about your graduates as well. When they come out here, there's a difference between a Strathmore graduate and other graduates. And we celebrate successes where we see them. We don't say that we must all be mediocre. No, if there's a center of excellence somewhere, we say, that's a center of excellence. Can we all please look at what they're doing and see whether there's something we can learn from what they're doing? So we're here to improve this country. We're here to improve this continent, and we're also here to improve the world. Yeah? We think global, but we act local. So with those very few remarks, it is my pleasure to thank you very much, declare today's Ruwaza Center event closed, officially closed. The conversation continues. Yeah? The questions, the live streaming, the issues, and also, very importantly, what is it you'd like us to talk about next time? We'll have another forum in about a month, at the beginning of April. So people out there, tell us, what is it? Umekalia msumari upi? What is disturbing your peace wherever you are, at a national level, at a global level, at a regional level? That's what we want to hear. And when you come here, please give us ideas. We're very receptive. Government is open to ideas. We're open to ideas. So please feel free to come and move the agenda forward. So with that, those very few remarks, can I hand over? And before I do, can I do something small for these two gentlemen?
So what we'll do after this is we'll have a small photo session with the panelists and our DG and director. And then we'll also get a vote of thanks. We'll start with the vote of thanks and then we'll move on to the photo session.
Vote of thanks can be going on?
Yes.
Save time.
All right. Let me stand here so that I can see all of us.